Maker Alliance members, we just finished up shooting all the stuff for this Mandalorian rifle video and thought it'd be a good chance to give you kind of an exclusive behind the scenes look on after the fact, after the project is done, talking about some of the process that we didn't get to show in the main video. Specifically, the fact that we only had this toy to go off of, this and one photo. So when we started working on this project, there was only one trailer out for the show, and it didn't actually show much of the rifle at all. There's one photo that Jon Favreau put out of this rifle. It's laying down at an angle. There's no people next to it, so you don't have any scale, anything like that. So, to figure this out, we took this toy, laid it up against a ruler, and I took a picture looking down on it as perpendicular to it as I could get. Then we took that into Fusion. In Fusion, you can set the scale of the image based on something, within the frame, and so once you have that ruler there, then you can set the scale of that. From that, I started tracing out boxes of different pieces just to get length, width, stuff like that, which are really just about proportions, not about actual pieces. And so that gave me the length for the stock to start carving that out, to start making the center section, to figure out how long the barrel needed to be. And then there were a few pieces that Josh made templates for by tracing them out here for all of these pieces. That gave us paper templates that we could print out those shapes, cut those out on the bandsaw. And then he also made a template kind of outline for the scope, and that helped me on the lathe to know the different proportions of all these pieces and kind of use it as a guide to do all of that turning. From this, he also made some 3D printed parts. Took the profile of the trigger guard, the trigger, and some of these other details, and then turned that into an actual 3D model just from the profile. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, that was the front piece where the barrel and the gas return both went back into the body of the gun. And really that's not based on anything except for just kind of making a transition between those pieces and the rest of the gun. He made some scope mounts, some more pieces to hold the pipes, and these were all just from looking at the picture and kind of imagining the detail that we don't really know. But with those pieces were all 3D printed and then finished. They were all made around the specific stuff we were using, like the pipe for the barrel and for the pipe for the gas return.
Yeah, if you look down, all of them are based on the same dimension. And then, so there's all of those pieces that go along, there's this, and this are all based on that known pipe dimension and the piece of whatever metal piping we had for the other one. So it's really easy to use the same sketch to make a whole bunch of different parts.
And one thing that was kind of interesting, we were talking about this a little while ago, is that we didn't buy anything for this project. This was all stuff we had on hand. We happened to have an aluminum pipe that was about the right size for the barrel. Happened to have a piece of steel that was good for that gas line. And then the rest of it was all basswood and MDF, 3D printed stuff. The only thing we had to buy specifically were the paint colors used in the airbrush for bluing the end of this. I think everything, and some spray paint for the different silvers and blacks and stuff. But as far as material, we got the scale here, found a pipe that worked, that fit that scale, and then started kind of building out from that. And it actually turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, and we got, like Bob was saying, we got that scale from here.
Yeah.
So that's about an inch. And then you kind of roughly, because even if you put it like this, you're never going to get it perfectly, look straight down. It's not going to be horizontal. So you just kind of guesstimate.
Yeah, and that's even partially due to the fact that the scope is hanging off. So laying this flat on the table isn't really laying it flat. It's kind of still at an angle. And then I'm trying to get the camera get my phone perpendicular to this or parallel to this side. And so, yeah, it's not going to be perfect. But again, we also don't have a lot of detail down here to even go from. So we're kind of making a lot of it up.
And then you guesstimate. Because, this piece, if you look here, it's lined up here and not lined up there. And then this could be 59/64ths. And you're like, well, that's ridiculous. Just use an inch. And then this, just use a 1/4 inch. Use stuff that is available. It'll get you close. It'll get you really close, actually.
Yeah.
How'd you do this piece? This is what I was interested in, because you made that, and I didn't know how you made that.
So this piece was, I mean, it's in the main video, so they'll see this, but I figured out from here to the end of there, and I turned that shape, so just the little cone, and then printed out a template I traced this profile, printed that out as a template, and cut it out of a piece of MDF. Then did a slot in here that fit the thickness of that MDF. And so it was a lot of just belt sander, kind of leaning it in, getting a little chamfers on different sides, rounding little bits, and again, kind of going off the shapes here, which are not very realistic, kind of going off that photo and how the light hit the different edges and stuff. It may not be right, but I think it still looks pretty cool.
It's right enough.
It's right enough. Right enough for a space gun. I don't know, is there anything else we want to talk about with this?
Talk about the weathering and the airbrushing.
Yeah, so the airbrushing was a little difficult for this. I'm not sure how much of it's going to actually show up in the video, but we found a video of a guy doing this same effect, but on a really small gun, like a miniature gun. And that gave us the kind of layering pattern for putting down kind of a bronze color, where the metal would be yellowed, then putting down the purple, then putting down the blue. Now this should be, in my opinion, more blue along the inside, the purple should be along the outside, and then the yellow, kind of, what do they call it, straw color, should be a little more rounded out. But given that I have barely ever used an airbrush, I'm kind of happy with this. We had a lot of trouble with the airbrush because we couldn't figure out how watered down the paints should be. And I think that was causing a lot of splatters, and then I'd have to go back and wipe off the splatter before it dried. So there's a few things in here that are kind of messed up because of just the technique's not there yet. But I actually got pretty interested in using that and the effect you can get. So hopefully you'll see some more airbrushing stuff in the future. Some of the paint was damaged as we were assembling it. There's some scuffing here. And I ended up just, instead of repainting, just kind of leaving it, because it's actual weathering from just stuff, and so it looks like it could have happened from space. As far as that, the other weathering stuff, kind of normal process. I did find that I was in the pattern of doing washes and just flooding stuff and wiping it off, and I did the same thing with rub and buff, which is the wrong approach. I just didn't think about it. I wiped it on, and that's not how you do it. It is for light application. You get a lot out of it, but if you try to cover an entire surface with it, it just mushes in and becomes that new surface. So this piece ended up changing colors, which is okay because now it looks like it's a different metal than the rest of it around, but that was not intentional. I ended up having to kind of continue my mistake all the way around so that it looked like a uniform piece. Let's see. I don't know. Other weathering stuff, I don't know that there's a whole lot unique about it. It's one of those things you could continue to do forever and ever and ever. I do think maybe doing some more small, fine detail stuff in here would have made the weathering pop out a little bit more, because the surfaces are still pretty large, but I don't know what you would have put there. I didn't want to take that too far. So I guess that's it. If you have any questions about this, any of the processes, or I don't know, anything about this one, let us know. We would love to talk about it. You can always ask on Discord or below this post. You got anything else on this?
Nope. It's got a sight. We custom made that.
Oh, yeah.
It's just something that we made up.
Yeah, it's acrylic in there, and just the reflection alone added a whole lot, rather than being a wooden insert in there. Having that reflection was pretty cool.
Not a good angle for it. Josh, you want to shine your phone light at it or something?
Well, I can put it up toward.
Yeah, point it up towards the light. There we go.
Yeah, so that reflection, I mean, the little lines and stuff help too, but just having the reflection makes it look like there's a lens in there. That's pretty cool. So, that's that. Let us know what you think, if you have any questions. Thanks for hanging out with us. Catch you later.
Where'd it go? Oh, he fell over. Oh,
no, here you go.
Say bye.
See you later.
It'd be awesome if that's how he walked in the show.
He never bent his legs. It's just like,